Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. We want to drop a little bit of a Cooper Flagg conspiracy theory, okay? Let's play some X-Files music. Do. Remember the X-Files? Conspiracy theories, aliens, whatever. All right, so this is the deal, okay? So over the last couple weeks, there's kind of been this conversation about Cooper Flagg potentially returning to Duke. And it's funny because it actually started with an Athletic article. The Athletic did this long-form piece with him. I think it was maybe his first, written sit-down of the year. I think he's done some TV stuff. I don't know how many written profiles have been done of him, but I think this was kind of the first sit-down interview he's done off camera. And it was a good piece. It was done by the Athletic. I forget. I think Brandon Marks and Brandon Quinn or something like that. I can't remember. It was a good piece though. It was an excellent piece. I remember because I was reading it while I was taking my wife's car to get serviced at the service station. Okay. So I bring it up because I read the piece, and at the end of that story, there was just this interesting little quote from Cooper Flagg. He really didn't say very much in the article, and he just kind of said in passing, like, yeah, man, I wish I could come back for another year. And so I read it, didn't think anything of it, and then I look up over the next few days, and I see this kind of headline just start to emerge and pick up steam of like, could Cooper Flagg return for another year of college basketball? Will Cooper Flagg come back to Duke? As you can see at the bottom of the screen, after Duke removed Cooper Flagg from the game on Monday night against Wake Forest, the fans were chanting, one more year, one more year, one more year. It all started from this Athletic article, and here is where the conspiracy theory comes in. I don't believe that Cooper Flagg is coming back for another year of college basketball. I don't believe that. But what I do believe, this is my hot take. I've been chewing on it for weeks. I haven't yet spit it out to the public, but I believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, I believe that there will be a player of Cooper Flagg's ability. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be as talented as Cooper Flagg, but I'm talking a potential number 1, number 2, number 3, no doubt about it, pick in the draft that is going to say no to the NBA and is going to say yes to returning to college basketball for another season or two. And it's not going to be for the reason that you think. And it's not going to be the people that are going to be driving that decision aren't who you think. But I've been thinking about this one for a while, so let me spit it out, okay? So first of all, the idea that Cooper Flagg wants to return to college basketball for another year, it's not surprising. Every one and done kid ever has wanted to come back for a second year, and many of them have explained it publicly, right? Like, Donovan Clingan, who wasn't even a one and done. He was a 2 and done. There was a story about him last year around the NBA draft. It's like, he went into Dan Hurley's office and said, is there a way we can do this for another year? And Dan Hurley said, no, he pushed him out the door. Anthony Davis has publicly said, I wanted to come back to Kentucky. Coach Cal pushed me out the door. DeMarcus Cousins, for the OG people who know my background, I wrote a book about the 2010 Kentucky Wildcats. I remember talking to Dwayne Peavy, who's now the AD at DePaul, who was at Kentucky at the time, saying, DeMarcus Cousins told Coach Cal, don't recruit another big guy. I'm coming back for another year. By the way, Zion, I think people forget this. Zion was like the last person to declare in 2019. And I think there was even like video of him playing pickup at the Duke Rec Center, like the day of the NBA draft deadline. And it was very clear, like, this is my last moment to be a kid. I'm going to enjoy it. So it's not surprising that Cooper Flagg wants to come back. It's also not surprising the reason why we have never really had a super duper high profile player come back. And it's because of the money in the NBA. And it's not just money in the NBA. It's the guaranteed money from these NBA contracts. And I get it. It's a lot of money. It's a lot more money than even the biggest college basketball brand could provide. For fun, I decided to look it up because I was just curious. One, I'd love to know how many of you even remember who was the first pick in the NBA draft last year. Guy by the name of Zachary Richichet he plays for the Atlanta Hawks. I think he's from France originally. But I looked it up. 4-year guaranteed $57 million deal. That is really hard to turn down to return to college basketball. And I think if that's just your argument, nobody's ever going to turn down that much guaranteed money, then okay, I get it. And I don't think Cooper Flagg is going to be the first to do it. But what I do think is there are some things changing behind the scenes that I think is going to lead to somebody of Cooper Flagg's ability to return to college for another year. Those things, it's not just NIL, but it's more specifically, it's the NIL that basically the best basketball players specifically can get in college basketball, okay? Because when we talk NIL, here's the thing. I think we have to separate NIL paid by the school from true NIL opportunities, brand deals, all that good stuff. The starting, the backup offensive guard at Georgia gets paid something, right? That's from the school. We can call it NIL. It's basically pay for play, okay? Cooper Flagg, Paige Beckers at UConn, on the other hand, they have true NIL. Paige Beckers has a Nike deal. I believe she has a Dunkin' Donuts deal. Like, Paige Beckers is probably, in my opinion, actually the highest paid athlete in college sports right now. I'd also guess Cooper Flagg isn't far behind, because Cooper Flagg, I'm sure, is getting something from the Duke Collective. And oh, by the way, he has a shoe deal with New Balance, and he has a deal with Gatorade. And so if I had to guess, I think Cooper Flagg's probably easily making $6, $7, $8 million a year playing college basketball this year. It sounds crazy, but think about it. We know the top college basketball players this past portal cycle were getting $2+ million. Coleman Hawkins got it. Grado Support, Washington got it. So, let's say about $2 million from Duke. New Balance signed Cooper Flagg. You think they're doing that you think he's wearing New Balances for free? Let's what is it? $1 million, $2 million, $3 million for 1 year? Again, Gatorade. You think he's just drinking Gatorade because he likes, Purple Frost? No. He's doing it because Gatorade's paying him something. And so again, I think you start tallying all these things up really quick. I think you start to get to $6, $7, $8, $9 million a year very quickly. By the way, look at AJ DeBonsa next year. AJ DeBonsa, listen, I don't think it's hyperbole. AJ DeBonsa could make $10 million a year playing $10 million next year playing college basketball. Now, I think the reports of how much BYU is paying him are a little bit extreme. We've talked about that. People were reporting 6, 7, 8, 9 million, whatever it was. I think BYU is probably going to pay him about 4, though. I think it's going to be about 4. And we know that he's already got some brand deals lined up. You know how I know? Go back to First Take. Go back to when he committed that day. Do you remember what he was wearing? He was wearing a Red Bull hat. I don't think he was wearing a Red Bull hat because he just found it in the closet and he was fired up to be on First Take. That was obviously a brand deal. AJ DeBonsa, by the way, I'm pretty sure had a deal with Nike that expires this coming season. So how valuable is he to Nike in college basketball? 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, whatever, Red Bull, another whatever. All of a sudden you get to 10 really quick. And so to me, this is where it gets interesting. To me, this is where I believe that a player of Cooper Flagg's abilities is going to come back. Because this is my opinion, okay? But in my opinion, just think about this. I don't think it's going to be the schools that force this kid back. I think, or any kid back. What I do think it will be, though, I think it'll be agents. And you know who I think is really going to be a driver in this? I think it's going to be the shoe companies, okay? Because shoe companies now can sign NIL deals with these kids. And so if you're going to invest millions of dollars in these kids, you want the marketability opportunities to be at their peak, right? I mean, whatever the contract is, I don't know exactly how all these NIL deals work with shoe deals and college versus the pros, but what I do know is this. I do know that you're trying to get some bang for your buck. And I was thinking about this with Cooper Flagg watching him on Monday night against Wake Forest. Think about this. Cooper Flagg, 40 games at Duke as a freshman. What will we argue? About 8 to 10 to 12, maybe plus of them are really high-profile games. Kentucky, which was basically opening night. Kansas, which was right before Thanksgiving. You had the Arizona game. I don't know if I would call that super high-profile, but Kansas, Kentucky, 2 games against Carolina. ACC tournament's going to be rocking. NCAA tournament's going to be rocking. And so if you think about that, I just want you to do a simple math equation, okay? Duke is going to play on national TV 40 times. How many times this year have you seen the Washington Wizards on national TV? How many times a year have you seen the Charlotte Hornets on national? It's not very many. And so I've been thinking about this for weeks. If you're Nike and you want to get the bang for your buck for Cooper Flagg or AJ DeBonsa or Cam Boozer or whoever you think is the next big thing, is there more marketability with Cooper Flagg playing for a Duke team that's on national TV every night and probably has 7, 8, 9 super high-profile games? Or is he more marketable for you with the Washington Wizards, maybe 1 national TV game a year? I think the shoe companies are going to figure this out. I think the shoe companies are going to push it. Now, listen, I don't think Cooper Flagg or any Cooper Flagg type player is going to stay for 4 years, but could you stay a second year? Could you maybe stay a third year? Why not? If you're making $8, $10, $12 million a year, if you got a Nike deal that pays you $4, $5, $6 million a year, and you don't want to go to the Washington Wizards, and Nike or Adidas or whoever doesn't really want you on the Washington Wizards, I think it makes a lot of sense. So that is a hot take that Torres has been chewing on for some time, and I really do believe that it's going to happen. By the way, we talked a little bit about this with Reed Sheppard last year around the NBA draft deadline. I said, look, that kid is going to make more money in NIL. Basically, he's more valuable even to Nike as a star at Kentucky than he is as a backup wherever he goes, and I think we've seen that play out with Reed Sheppard and the Houston Rockets. So that's my hot, spicy Cooper Flagg conspiracy theory. Yeah, I believe it. Next 3 to 5 years, a Cooper Flagg type talent is going to return to college basketball for at least one more year. You heard it on the Torres pod first. If it happens, you're going to think about it. The good news is if it doesn't happen, you'll never remember this segment happened.